Welcome to the ZERODOWN software standard configuration video series, prepared by ZERODOWN's technology. This is part 1 of our 2-part series in which we'll provide instruction to deploy and configure your ZERODOWN software application migration as a service migration tool. This video will walk you through the 6-step deployment and configuration process of the ZERODOWN migration tool in Amazon Web Services. Let's start by sharing a big picture view of the process in chart form that we'll be going through together. First, we'll go to the Amazon Web Service Marketplace and deploy the ZERODOWN migration tool. We'll then configure the source and target systems within the tool. Step 2 would be to take a snapshot of your application and data. Step 3 will then begin accessing the application through the ZERODOWN migration tool. Any transaction that occurs during the time frame of the migration will be captured into the ZERODOWN journal. As users continue to process their data in their original data center, we will be migrating the application into the Amazon cloud. Once the image is in the Amazon cloud, we'll need to perform some acceptance testing. That's step 4, to make sure that all the data has migrated. Once we've validated all the data has migrated into the Amazon cloud, we'll then advertise the application to the ZERODOWN migration tool. Once the ZERODOWN migration tool recognizes that the system is online during step 5, then step 6, the synchronizer within the tool will replay the transactions that have occurred during this migration process. Got that? Let's begin this task. First, let's take a quick look at the application that we're going to be migrating. For purposes of this instruction, we'll be demonstrating the migration of our personal healthcare record management application, ZenVault. You'll see when looking at the data, we have some personal contacts, pharmacists, insurance providers, etc. We'll visit more of this later. So, step 1. Go ahead and deploy the ZERODOWN software in your Amazon Web Service console. Copy the elastic IP, or the public DNS for this instance, and access the management console. Through this public DNS, we'll add in port 8080. To log into your instance of the ZERODOWN migration tool, you'll need to get the instance ID for your password. This is generated upon the launch of your instance. I'll copy that and paste into the password field. Let's configure the source and data systems through a module in the ZERODOWN migration tool called the node. Node 1 will become our source address, which, in our case, happens to be myapp09s.net and uses port 18080. You will be entering your application URL and port. So we've now configured our source application at the mentioned URL and port. Now, within the Amazon Web Service console, we'll create an elastic IP for the target system. Once our application is migrated into the Amazon cloud, we should bind this IP address to the instance running in the Amazon cloud. Navigate to Node 2 and in Settings, enter the elastic IP into the target host for your migrated application. Leave the port at the default 9999. That is an unconnected port and will allow us to perform our validation testing. Step 1. Deployment and configuration of my source and target systems completed. Step 2. Let's begin to clone or take a snapshot of our instance. We'll use either the Amazon migration process or our manual process to migrate my application into the Amazon cloud. Step 3. You'll still be able to access your application, but now you'll be accessing it through the ZERODOWN migration tool. And in this case here, you'll be accessing it via port 80. When we log into this account, we're logging in through the ZERODOWN migration tool to your original source application. You can perform transactions as usual through the ZERODOWN migration tool because you're online at your source data center. For example, Let's add a contact and a pharmacist, just to demonstrate that the transactions are occurring into the original application. You'll see that the contact was added, as well as the pharmacist we just added as well. Once again illustrating that there's zero downtime, the key differentiator of ZERODOWN software. Step 4. We've now completed the migration of the application into Amazon Web Service. Now let's bind the elastic IP address to this instance and have it advertised to our ZERODOWN migration tool. Let's take a look at the migrated application. This application happens to be running in port 8080 in the Amazon cloud. Step 5. If we were to log in, we can validate that this application is running in Amazon Web Service. You can see that my personal contacts and pharmacist's information are still based on the original snapshot I had taken in Step 2. So now that we've validated that this application and all of its data is functioning properly and is accurate according to the original snapshot, let's go back into Node 2 and configure the port from default 9999 to point to your actual application running in the Amazon cloud. Once we configure the port to now communicate with the application, our ZERODOWN migration tool will recognize that the application is up and running. Go to the journal and replay those transactions that were missed during the migration. Step 6. We can now confirm that those contacts and pharmacist we added to the source site has synced up with the migrated data. You are now able to add transactions in your ZERODOWN migration tool and modify it in real time. Let's enter a healthcare provider. You'll note that the healthcare provider has been entered into our source location, and if you look at the Amazon console, it's displayed there as well. We now have two locations, our source site and our target site running in parallel. This is an active, highly available configuration. We've now completed the migration of the application of your source into the Amazon cloud using the ZERODOWN software migration tool. At this point, you can take the source site down and complete the migration, or leave both locations up and running as an active configuration. Congratulations! You are now free to roam about the clouds. For more information, please visit us at ZERODOWNsoftware.com.